Okay guys, here we start with a new lecture. In this lecture we solve this MCQ. Okay, so we start by the question number 1. The question says that given the set A equal to interval 0 1 union minus 2 to minus 1 union minus 3 to 0, then so you are given the set A, that is from 0 to 1 union from minus 2 to minus 1, yes, then union minus 3 0. No, minus 3 is it is like this, so it is union, yes, union the element minus 3 and 0. So the question is A admits maximum but not minimum. Okay, on my channel there is also a video about maximum, minimum, infimum and supremum, but I think it's in Italian, so if you understand Italian you can have a look on it. Otherwise let's briefly talk about it. So what is the maximum of a set? So when I give a set, what is the maximum of a set? The maximum element, to be the maximum element of a set, you should satisfy two conditions. The maximum element of the set first, so I will say that M, the number M is the maximum, for example of here is called the set A. So M is the maximum of A if M satisfies two conditions. Is that clear? So to be the maximum of a set, you should satisfy two conditions. The first condition is that M should belong to the set A. So for you to be the maximum, you should belong to the set. Is that clear? And the second condition, M should be greater or equal than any other element. So whatever is the element that I take in A, M should be greater or equal than that A. Yeah. Is that clear? So these are the two conditions to be the maximum. Doubts? That what about the minimum? There are two conditions for an element to be the minimum of a set. So one, that element should belong to the set, and two, that element should be smaller or equal than any other element in the set. Is that clear? So these are the conditions for you to be the mean and the minimum and the maximum. Nice. But what are supremum and infimum of the set? Look, for example, that if I give you the set A equal to minus 1 to 3, this set, you see that 3 belongs to A, right? First condition. And 3 is greater or equal than any other element in, yes or not? So this 3 is the maximum, right? But is minus 1 the minimum? Because minus 1 does not belong to A. So minus 1 is not the minimum, right? So minus 1 is not the minimum. But this set, does it have a minimum? Does it have a minimum? What is the minimum? So we cannot find the minimum, right? Because maybe if you try to tell me that the minimum is 0.999, I will tell you that what about minus 0.99999? Yes or not? So there is no way to get the minimum. So people understood that. So not always the set has the minimum, okay, or not always the set has the maximum. So it's people understood that, and I say, okay, nice. We will define something that is more general than minimum and maximum. and we said that we will use sup and inf. Okay, so the sup will be kind of it will replace the maximum when we don't have it. Okay, and the infimum is kind that it replace the minimum if we don't have it. Okay, now so to define the minimum and the sup and inf, we need to define what we call mignorant and majorant. Suppose that I give you the set going from 1 to 3. Okay, so A is this set. If I take 5, what can you say? 5 is 5 the maximum of this set? No, because 5 doesn't belong, right? But 5 satisfies the second condition of the maximum. 5 is greater or equal than any element in the, yes or not? So when an element is greater or equal than any element in the given set, we say that element, so 5 here, 5 is a majorant. Okay, is a majorant. So when an element is greater than any element in a set, that element is called, I am not, okay, it's so 6 for example will be another majorant for A. 10 will be another majorant, yes or not? What is the smallest majorant? What is the smallest possible majorant for A? But keep in mind that I didn't say that the majorant cannot belong. The majorant can also belong to the set. Yes, it's 3. Yes or not? Because I pay attention that we have greater or equal. So in fact, the smallest possible. So first note that if you have one majorant, then you have an infinite number of majorant. Because any number greater than the majorant that you have is also a majorant. So the sup of a set is its smallest majorant. Is that clear? So among the majorant, the smallest one is called the sup. By the same way, let's go back to have the side to the other side. So you have A equal to 1 until 3. What will be the mignorant? What are the mignorants? The mignorant are all the elements. So if I take for example -2, you see that -2 is smaller or equal than any A. Yes or not? So a mignorant is an element that is more, a mignorant of a set is an element that is smaller than all the element in the set. Is that clear? For example, you can provide how many mignorant do I have for this set? Infinite many, because basically -2 is a mignorant, -1.6 is a mignorant. Any number that is smaller than all the number in the set is a mignorant. Among them, I can take the greatest mignorant, the biggest mignorant. Okay, so the infimum of A is the biggest mignorant of A. Is that clear? Okay, so it was important to know that before solving this exercise. Nice. Let's go back to the stuff and analyze the situation. The situation says that A admits maximum but not minimum. Here is my set A. Up to you. Which one is the candidate? Do we have a maximum? Yes, because the maximum will have been 1, right? But unfortunately 1 does not be, so A is false. F admits minimum but not maximum. Do you have a minimum? What was supposed to be that minimum? Up to you. Yes, in fact, you can see that minus 3 belongs to the set, right? And minus 3 is smaller or equal than any other element in the, yes or not? So minus 3 is the minimum, but we don't have maximum, so B is correct, right? So the answer is B. Okay, so all the does not admit maximum, not minimum, false. A admits maximum and minimum, false, because we have no maximum. A is equal to this interval, false, because they are not the number between minus 3 and 2 and minus 2. Yes or not? Here A do not, so E is false because they are saying that A is all this interval, but A is not all this interval. Yes or not? A do not contain, for example, minus 2.5, whereas this interval contain minus 2.5. Okay. Now, given A included in R such that the sup of A is 2 and the infimum of A is 0, then necessarily, so what we know, the only thing we know is that you have that A is included in the set of real numbers, and you know that the sup of A is 2 and the infimum of A is 0. Okay, what the question is, what can you conclude? Then 2 belong to A, you agree? But does it have, it's a nice question. The question of my student is, does the supremum, is the supremum supposed to belong to the set or not? The only thing we know is that the supremum is the smallest majorand, right? But suppose, for example, I give you the set A equals to 0 to 1. What is the supremum of this set? What is the smallest majorand of this set? Yes, in fact, the smallest majorand is 1, because any number that you take before 1 and any number between 0 and 1 will not be a majorand. If you take 0.9999, I take more 9 and I overcome it. So the problem is that the sup here, the sup of A here is exactly 1, but 1 does not belong to, yes or not? So this clarifies the fact that your doubts. So basically the supremum, okay, unlike the maximum, the supremum is not, okay, supposed to belong to the set. Okay, so A is false. There exists X belonging to A such that that X stand between 0 and 2. Okay, for sure, because if 2 is the supremum, if there wasn't this X, it will mean that 2 is not the supremum. If there is not nothing in the set, if there is not something in the set that is smaller than 2, then 2 is not the supremum, because 2 is the smallest majorand. The smallest majorand means that 2 is a majorand. If 2 is a majorand, it means that there is at least one element in 2 that is smaller, that is is 2 is an majorand. It means that there is at least one element in the set that is smaller than 2. Yes or not? So B is correct. There exists an element in X. No. I made a mistake. Excuse me. No. This is wrong. B is wrong. I am very tired today. Excuse me, guys. So what I know, the B is wrong for the simple reason that the set can be with this one. Excuse me. I am very tired. No. if the set B is this one, then you see that it's clear that the sup of B, if the set A, I mean, yes or not, the set A can be this one. What is the sup of A? It's 2. What is the infimum of A? 0. But you see that between 0 and 2 there is no element. Yes or not? Nice. The third proof, there exists x belonging to A such that x is greater than 1. Yes, this one is correct. There exists an element in the set that is greater than. Look, if this was false, it means that no element in the set is greater than 1, right? No element if is greater than 1. If no element is greater than 1, it means that 1 is what? It's a majorand. But it will mean that we found a majorand that is smaller than the smallest that is impossible. Okay, so for sure there should be an element that is greater than 1. Then there says that A should be equal to this interval. Not only, A can also be equal to this. Yes or not? For there says that 0 belongs to A or 2 belongs to A. It is false. For which reason? Why is it false? Yes, and also we can take the interval from 0 to 2, for example. Okay, so the answer was 2C. Good. Then if we move to question number 3, we have the set. So let me write the set. Maybe it's better to continue solving in the next video. Okay.